show is about to begin. Enjoy.
Michael O'Grady, I Creativi.
All right, welcome everybody to the first episode back of Back Talk with Bauer. I am Josh J. Bauer Art, Back Talk with Bauer, all the damn names. There's too many to keep track of anymore. But yeah, this is episode 4 of Back Talk with Bauer. It's a special Saturday edition and a crossover edition. My guest is also becoming a podcaster, and so we're going to be doing an hour of my show and an hour of his show. The best part is you can find everything right on this stream. And then if you don't catch some of it or see half of it or miss something, both of us are going to have the podcast up later. Mine will be on YouTube. He's got his podcast everywhere. We'll talk about that more. But this is actually a old friend of mine, a blast from my past. I have known him since I think the early 2000s, probably 2000 at least. It is my buddy, longtime friend, Michael O'Grady. 3, 2, 1. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much. How are things?
Oh, they're good, man. They're good. Just keeping it moving along.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for coming on and doing this big crossover thing. I know it's a learning experience with the Be Live and everything, and we had some fun technical issues before we started.
Yes.
And we were playing the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. It definitely was a little bit of a, but that's, we had to test for like a half hour building up to this. That's why you kind of run through it.
But that's why we start early. That's why we get things going. So we're all ready to go. And it's
holy shit, that's O'Grady.
Holy shit, that's O'Grady. It is.
What's up, Jesse?
We've got tons to talk about. O'Grady and I have known each other since about middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
We were inseparable for a good few years.
Yep.
We lost touch a little after high school, kind of found each other again. And I've been keeping up with everything that he's been up to over the years. We're both originally from Ohio, but you are now in LA, correct?
That is correct, yeah. In Los Angeles, California.
He's one of those fancy LA people. And I went to Gatorland.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Both with palm trees.
But either way, we got the holy hell out of Ohio. So I think we're all good.
Yeah.
As long as we're not there.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots to talk about, and we only got an hour to talk. So I want to say, let's get into us meeting. And then we'll get into a little bit more about you. So I was kind of doing the math. I think we met when I was in 6th grade, give or take.
Yeah.
Maybe 6th or, no, it might have been 7th or 8th, because I think I came to Howland in 7th grade, and then we moved to your street, I think when I was in 8th grade. So you were a grade behind me, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
You moved down the block, and yeah, I can't remember the timeline that well either. I just know that you were there, and that's kind of how, when you're growing up, you end up meeting friends because of whoever lives really close to you, that kind of a type of thing. And I do, yeah.
Because I actually met your brothers first.
Really?
They were, because we lived at the end of the cul-de-sac thing. It was a dead-end road, and I can't even remember where the hell it led off to.
Nothing. The
I'm
woods.
Getting it mixed up
and
with
the freeway.
The woods? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved into I think it was a duplex there.
Yeah.
Is that duplexes? Yeah.
It's considered, I want to say it's considered a duplex, yeah.
Yes. Oh, hey, Alejandro. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for stopping in. But yeah, so I moved in, and then your brothers were playing around, and that was when they still had that grate down at the end that was broken, and your brothers were breaking it more and like hanging on the freaking they had a barrier thing on top of it, and
that
they were
sounds
just
like
putzing
them
around playing on it. And then I think you came down to get them or yell at them or something.
Probably.
And we kind of said hi to each other.
Yeah.
Now, a little bit of background between myself and O'Grady. I was the relatively good kid. I listened to my mom. I didn't mess around. Everybody has met my mom, and she is known as the monster for a reason.
Yeah.
She lays down the law. Then, it was, and O'Grady was not as well behaved, and got into a lot. Look at the face. You can just tell that's a face of trouble.
Who, me?
I knew of O'Grady. Because of the announcements over on it was always, can we please have Michael O'Grady come down to the office?
I remember you mentioned that to me. I do remember that at some point early on in our friendship that you were like, I had like a reputation to you.
Yes.
That you were like, I know that name. Why do I know your name? Oh, that's right. I heard it on announcements over the loudspeaker, like, can everybody get Michael O'Grady down to the principal's office? Like that kind of, and you're like, what? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At least once a week. Is that fair?
Probably. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't know. It's really funny that when I think about it, I don't remember getting in trouble that much, maybe compared to your standards.
Right.
But it was it was also like just a lot of stupid stuff too, where I just always kind of played dumb, like, what'd I do? I didn't know. We can't we can't do that? Oh, my bad. Like that. Because I think also too is because I grew up with my father is a police officer, and everybody's involved with the law in my family. So it's kind of like I learned how to get away with shit sometimes because you knew, like, oh, maybe I can do this prank or do this stunt and then just play dumb. Like, again, like, I didn't know I couldn't do that kind of a thing. And I think, you had a little bit of this weary hesitation hanging out with me. And in hindsight, it was probably good for me to meet somebody like you to know what it was like to not be such a dumbass.
I think we really evened out each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think we really did. I think both of our moms were a little happy that we met.
Yeah.
I talked to I've talked to both of our moms like later down the years, and your mom would say, you were a troublemaker, and you had your things here and there, but she's like, it was so nice when you came around because you would kind of just at least make them think about it for a second before. You would, because before I came around, you're like, all right, let's go do all the dumb shit, and then I showed up, and you're like, we're still gonna do the dumb shit, but I at least hesitated for a second.
Right, I thought about it. I considered. I definitely did. Because that's it's you have to have. I guess for you and I was that friend where you would be like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Like, hold on. Like, let's just don't do. And I'd be like, what? Like, but then I've had those friends where I'm the good guy going, this guy's out of his mind. Somebody needs to harness this dude. And you know what I mean? So it's that kind of. Yeah.
Well, and this kind of goes with Kyle Nunez's question. He goes, you met Josh and learned how to be a smartass, Michael? No, that's totally the opposite. It is totally. Okay, so when I say I was a good kid, I was like, I never wanted to do anything wrong. I never wanted to get into trouble. Like, my mom put the fear of, I would say God, but I think it's scarier than that. So, I never stepped out of line. But when I started hanging, and I didn't have a ton of friends. I've always been that guy that just didn't have a ton of friends. I was very nervous around people.
Sure.
I was kind of like an introvert and everything. So when I started hanging out with O'Grady, and I always call you Grady. Like I used to call you Mike, but it's always been O'Grady. There's too many Mikes and Michaels around when we were younger.
It's that, and it's where we grew up. I tell people that all the time. Since living in Los Angeles, people call me Michael, and it's very, very weird.
It's so weird.
And
it is. Yeah.
And everybody's different. It depends. Some people just have that in them to call people by their last names. Mm-hmm. And I definitely have one of those last names that like, and
it's a unique one.
I don't think I ever told you to call me O'Grady. You just knew I was O'Grady. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then Mike Hicks started showing up. So we had at least two Mikes at all times.
Right. And he was a Mike, and I've never been a Mike. I don't feel I'm not a Mike. There's some guys who are Mikes. There's some guys who are Michaels. I'm definitely a Michael, and definitely some people just inherently have it to call me O'Grady. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends.
When I started hanging out with you, and then we started hanging out with some more people, because for a good while it was just you and I.
Yeah.
And we would hang out at your house. We were mostly hanging at your house because you had a big house. You had the basement.
Right.
Michael O'Grady's basement was fucking amazing.
The Mojo Lounge.
The Mojo Lounge, pool table, bar, full bar, wraparound couch, all the instruments, all the music instruments you can think of, and at some point a Star Wars pinball machine, which is still my favorite Star Wars pinball machine.
We don't have it. We don't have it anymore.
Oh man, I see that at so if I see it at our arcade, I that's automatically where I go to play that for some nostalgia.
It was a good one.
And then whenever I get a bigger house and I can have like a little bit of an arcade area, that is the first one I'm buying.
There you
in
go.
my house.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
you know what? You know the funny thing about that is too is I want to mention real quick. After you you experienced this a little bit when we would do shows in my basement, and we would have people come over and bands and stuff like that, and it was definitely like a hangout spot. It was like that '70s show, but a little bit on a bigger scale as far as people would come over. And then sometime after you left and went to like Florida or whatever it was. Before I moved to California, we really started doing some shit. I mean, we threw a party one time where I had a couple of bands play. I had a couple of girls work as bartenders. We threw this party where me and you remember Matt Murray?
I remember Matt Murray.
One of my best friends, since when we were all kids, you, me, him, and everybody.
Yeah.
Him and I spent all of our money. I think we spent probably somewhere close to $1,000 on booze.
Oh my God.
Beer, liquor, whatever. And when we threw this party, we charged people at the door like $5. And people were like, "Why? What? You're having a party, but I'm paying you $5?" I go, "Here's the deal. $5, you can drink whatever you want. And there's music and there's the pool and it gets you all of that." And we ended up doubling our money. And we even like I said, I had girls working as bartenders. They would make like fancy, cool drinks, anything of like top shelf, like, ooh, I want the good stuff. And we would charge a little bit for that. But yeah, we ended up doing that at one point, and that was a little, we shouldn't have done that.
House, I love your damn house. And what really scares me is I remember the shit we used to do and the shit that went on in that house when I was around. So I can't even imagine something that was bigger than that.
You know what's my favorite part about all this too? This is my absolute favorite. So I've been living in Los Angeles since I was 21 years old. And when I was 23, 24, it was around this age time, and I go back home for like holidays and stuff. And I'll remember this vividly. This was so funny. I go back home. I'm sitting talking with my mom, catching up. It's like Christmas time. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're never going to believe it. I busted the twins, my younger brothers, the other day down in the basement doing blah, blah, blah." I won't say what it was. And I started laughing. I go, "You got to be shitting me." And she goes, she takes a minute, she takes a beat. She goes, "I'm just really glad I never had to worry about that with you."
Oh, I love your mother.
And I go, "All right, it's been some time." And I go, "Mom, here's the thing. The twins are dumbasses. We just never got caught. That's the difference.
Right.
We just never got caught. That's all it was." And her drink and her eyes were like, "You what?"
Oh, she
had no idea.
I hope your mom doesn't watch this because.
She knows. No, she knows. She knows all about this debauchery now. And I would go, and I PG.
Well, I mean, the shit that we would do. I mean, there was times. And again, this is so hanging with O'Grady and the few people and the people that we ended up hanging out with O'Grady with. I learned how to go back and forth people, the messing with people, the fucking around and being on top of that game. That's where I originally learned how to get into that, and then mastered it over the years with different shows and different people. But that's how I can go on a podcast now and go back and forth and just, rant and cause chaos because O'Grady this guy here is the person that taught me how to do it.
But you've always had that smart ass, quick wit about you too. I think that was one of the things about our friendship because we both had that at least. Like, you like to paint yourself as like this good kid, which you were, yeah.
Right.
But you also were very, I mean, it's the second I heard about your podcast, Back Talk with Bauer, I was like, yeah, that's him. He knows how to back talk. Of course, you're polite and you don't do it, but if you wanted to, you have that. And some people either have that or they don't. And I think that's what highlighted us as friends because, and that's how you meet a lot of people where you just kind of go, you can just shoot the shit. And that's all we did was shoot the shit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'd go back
it
and
was
forth
just,
into this wild imagination of, oh, wouldn't it be funny this, and this is what makes, this think of, and blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. And like both of our moms are salt to the earth sweethearts who lay down the law, and, you don't have to worry about God. God's taking a day off when I come down on you, that kind of a type of thing. Yeah, you never wanted to make
Yeah.
Holly mad. You never wanted to make Louise mad, for sure.
No,
Because if you did, but
it was,
it was always that thing of like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, or I'll deal with
oh
you.
God.
I'll deal with you later. You know.
But then like, and our moms are both very cool, but they were a little different. And
Yeah.
your mom, and especially it was very interesting being around your house because your family all worked as in the police force.
Yeah.
So that was a whole different ball game that I have never experienced. And like, and being with O'Grady's family, like the way I was, I mean, I was at your house at least probably every weekend.
Yeah.
For a good while, especially
like
when I
daily.
lived down the street.
Daily. Like when you started driving,
Yeah.
you'd pick me up for school.
Yeah, so it
And
was a
have to
good
wake
3
me
to
up by
4
knocking
years.
on the bedroom window because I couldn't wake up.
Oh God, I hated coming to pick your ass
That
up.
runs in the family too. That's
And the fucking scary thing is you swing when you wake somebody up because your house was never locked. So I'd have to get up early and I'd drive to your house. 'Cause I moved across town because we bought a house down the road.
Right,
So I had to move. I had to come and because I told him, I'm like, oh, when I get my license, we'll drive. We won't have to take the bus because the bus was like, it was our first stop in the morning.
Yeah.
So we were on the bus for what, 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
we had a long
before we
bus
got
ride.
to
We were one of
school.
the first ones for sure.
Oh, it was terrible. We would fall asleep on there all the time. And oh God. So I told him, I'm like, all right, when I start driving, I'll drive us to school. Well, when I started driving, I lived across town now. So I'd have to drive to come get him.
Oh, yeah, you did do that. Wow, you're such a good friend. I'm an asshole. Sorry. I wouldn't
put a
fucking
stop
do
to
that.
it senior year.
You don't do that for like anybody. You're like, that's your fucking problem.
I did that for a year, and then you would go. I would have to take Skylar home, or I'd have to take this person home, or one of your girls for the week home. Oh, this is.
I was never that good. I was never that good. I'm not that good with the ladies.
You had you and Skylar always had girls all over you. Don't give me that shit. I'm fucking there. Don't give me that shit.
Again, I'm going back with the what?
What? Yeah.
I didn't know.
But yeah, I would have to come in, and your house was unlocked, and your parents knew me. This was like, hanging out with you after 3 or 4 years. I'd walk in, and I would see either your mom or your dad, and I'd be like, "Is he up?" Well, of course not. Okay.
No.
So I'd have to come into your room and kind of push on you and like touch you a little bit, and you would stir a little bit, and then when you finally woke up, you came out swinging.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised I didn't have a helmet or something. That would have been way smarter. But
it is that weird thing. I have a very deep sleep habit, and then I've always been a person where it's hard for me to fall asleep because my mind is just going. And luckily enough, as the older I've gotten, it's gotten a lot better and everything. Except for right now, the COVID-19 has done it's made me revert back to that where I'm sleeping in now and missing my alarm because I think internally, my brain subconsciously and my body goes, we don't have to get up. What? We don't have to. So normally I've been, but I'm sorry you had to deal with all that because in the last few years, I've gotten a lot better of like hearing the alarm, beating the alarm, and waking up and not having that such deep sleep and scaring the shit out of everybody.
Oh, it was terrifying. I felt bad. I always thought about it. I felt bad for like your future wife or something because I'm like, you're gonna knock her in the face or something.
No, you know what? And I always, you know what it is? It's that weird thing of like opposites attract because I've always ended up dating very women who, and I think a lot of girls do this. I don't want to generalize and say all women are like this, but I think a lot of women, or at least the ones that I've dated or met, are very light sleepers. They don't have a heavy, so that if you just, if you roll over, it wakes them up. Mm-hmm. And when they've tried to wake me up for things and stuff, they get mad because they're like, a bomb could go off and you're not getting up. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
My wife sleeps like the dead. She has officially slept through hurricanes. It's very impressive. Yeah.
Wow,
It is
now
very
that's
impressive.
that's good, yeah. But then also I get jealous of people like Mike Hicks, a buddy of ours. I'm giving you a shout out, Mike, because I know you're watching this shit or you're gonna watch the post. Is that dude I remember would fall asleep at the drop of a hat. He'd go, "I'm tired," close his eyes, and he was out. He was
They
done.
were like, all right, Hicks is out.
It was like that thing in Saving Private Ryan where they're like, "How does he sleep so quick?" And he's just like, "He doesn't have a guilty conscience." And I'm like, "That's not me."
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So I apparently some of her. I have to say hi to Amelia. Good seeing you,
Say
Amelia.
hi. Oh,
And
Grady, do you
apparently,
have any embarrassing Josh stories? Oh, fuck.
yeah.
Do I? I know you got a lot on me, which you got a better memory than I do.
Oh, I even have pictures. I found some pictures. We'll get to those in a little bit.
All right, I gotta go. Bye, everybody. See ya. Wait, actually, hold on one second. I need to grab my water. It's over here. 1 second.
Okay.
I'm getting cotton mouth already.
So I'll keep talking, but O'Grady taught me. We would be over at O'Grady's house. His house ran like 24 hours a day. Like I don't
It
even
pretty
know
much
when
did.
half the people in his house slept. We would go till 2, 3, 4 in the morning over there all the time. People would randomly show up at 1 in the morning, and that would like start a new thing that was going on.
Yeah, that's we grew up in like a big family. We grew up everybody coming over, and what's weird is I'm kind of a little bit of the black sheep as far as some of my brothers or like my mom or whatever, because I mean they have their friends and everything, but I was always a person where I wanted everybody to come on over, hang out, blah 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 blah, and I had like no problem with that. But unfortunately, with that kind of generosity, and I'm sure as you know, with when you're a nice guy or a nice person, or you got whatever, you end up attracting a group of maybe not so good people, and you learn some hard lessons along the way.
Yep.
I mean, like as I've gotten older, where I feel like an old man now, where I'm like, no, fuck that. I'm not going there. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like you get a little bit of that. Like I don't have to. Like anyway, but yeah, dude, I don't know. I don't know if I have like any embarrassing stories on you, unless you can remind me right now if you have the guts to remind me, because I feel like a lot of the embarrassing stories were me.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I mean, there was a couple of times where I would go to sleep early because I mean, it was basically who lasted the longest.
Sure.
And you would find anywhere around the house to just pass out once you were done.
Yeah.
And I was one of the ones that would go to bed a little bit earlier because
we would tease you about that. We would.
Oh,
any adventure, any stupid shit we wanted to do, you'd be like,
yep.
No, you'd be like, no, guys, I'm not doing that. And we would be like, come on, man. And you're like, give the credit to Josh to know who he is and go, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. Good luck, fuckers. Like that kind, like I'm out.
Well, and we would hang out, and you guys would all be drinking, and you guys would all be getting shit faced. And I think there was a couple times here and there where I had a shot, but I never got drunk with you guys. I just chilled, and that was like the nice thing. You guys were always like, you pushed it a little bit here and there, but it was just like, no, guys, I don't do that. You know, that wasn't my thing, and you guys were cool with it. Yeah. Now, when I went to sleep, and you guys would be a little drunk, I remember one night. I was passed out, and all of a sudden, I'm like dreaming, and I feel this burning in my mouth. It feels like just my mouth is on fire. I have no idea what's going on. I wake up, and somebody runs away. I want to say it was Skylar or somebody like that, but they went and put either alcohol on their fingers, or they took some kind of strong alcohol, and I got it in my mouth while I was sleeping.
Oh, that's horrible. I do not remember this. I am so sorry.
I believe you were all drunk at that point.
Yeah, I have a
bad memory,
too.
I think that might have been the same night where we learned, and I already knew it, but you guys didn't believe me. It was when you had a bunch of drinks, and you guys were already pretty toasted, but you decided to go into the hot tub. And I tried to tell you guys, I'm like, if you go in the hot tub, you're gonna get drunker, and you guys are already bad enough. Yep. Nah, it'll be fine.
It'll be all right.
Fine. It'd be great. You want to come? No.
Yeah.
I know the weird shit you do when you're sober.
Yeah.
And like I went and fell asleep for a little bit, and you guys came back down just trashed.
Yeah.
So I think that might have been the same night.
Probably.
I
do have a lot of stories about stuff like that for sure. Where I'm surprised when I look back on it now, and one of the things, I mean, the biggest game changer was, I think this has been what's so weird for me is I have a 2-year-old daughter now. And once that happens, you start to evaluate your life and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did this.
Right.
What? And it takes you back because you're just like, oh, I got to be an adult now. And you think about when you were 15, 17, 20, 21, all the shit that you're like, how am I alive? How did, you know what I mean? And so it kind of makes you kind of settle down a little bit and go, all right, I'm not going to be like that anymore because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, and I was always kind of, and I think it was because I was raised by a single mom, so I couldn't play around. I wasn't allowed to be, my mom let me be a kid, but, there was a lot of stuff that I had to grow up quickly.
You were 30 when we were 15. You were already there. You were already at that point of like, this adult mature. That's why I think we had you in our lives, because you have to have that grounded friend who goes, don't do it. It's a bad idea. What's the famous last words? Watch this. Hold my beer. Like that kind of a thing.
And I've heard that plenty of times at O'Grady's house.
I think about that now. We used to jump off the roof into the pool.
I know.
You could not get me to do that now. And I think about it and I get anxiety over it going, why did we we could have died easily.
Well, and there was concrete all around the pool. And you guys tried to get me to do it so many times. I'm like, no. And then the other thing you guys would do that always scared the hell out of me, because we lived in Ohio. So in the wintertime, you had to shut the pool down.
Yeah.
I know some Floridians don't know how this works, but the O'Grady's had this really cool, it was like when the pool was shut down for the winter, it was this big green mesh tarp that got like bolted into the ground. Like the bolts were in there for all time.
Yeah.
And so like all of a sudden I'd show up and that's how you knew the winter was coming.
Yeah.
Because it was there. You would show up and it's like, oh, okay, we closed the pool.
Summer's over, fun time's done.
Yeah, summer's done. All right, back to the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
But you crazy psychopaths, we would be sitting in the hot tub in the middle of winter and you had to stay hiding in the hot water.
Yep.
And then you guys would get out with steam coming off of you and you would run across the damn pool.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I will have to say it was cool because you got the cold air making you steam. So it looked like you were kind of on fire. And then your footsteps hit the cold water. So you're steaming in the footsteps. But if like one thing broke, you would have died. Like if it would have went down,
if you would have went under,
you'd be dead.
You know what's weird about that too is that it took a couple of years for me to realize a lot of stuff because again, like, as when your parents don't have enough time to explain everything to you, I learned. You probably don't even know this, but I learned about with the pool and the tarps and the floaty toys and all that stuff. My dad would freak the F out if we left anything in the pool, and he would go bananas. And the reason why is because he's a police officer, retired now. He went on a call one time where a little girl went missing. He went through, they're looking, they're doing the whole thing. They go in the backyard and they found her underneath an inner tube. They couldn't see her.
Oh, God.
So that's why he had like this Vietnam PTSD.
I kind of remember him.
If you left anything out, he would go bananas. And it wasn't until I was maybe 25, my mom finally explained, you ever wonder why your dad would just lose it out of nowhere? And I would go, well, that would have been nice to know when I was 12, but thanks for, telling me.
Other than it being your dad.
You just thought he was a psycho out of nowhere, but then you're like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. But anyway, but that's kind of, it's one of those things. And now that I'm a parent, I'm like, oh my God, all this shit can go wrong. Like, that kind of a thing. It kind of makes you.
Then it was always fun, like, because people were trying to ask the weirdest things of me. And O'Grady was the weird and eccentric one. I was the guy that was hanging out with him.
Yeah.
And I was kind of.
You were my voice of reason.
You're
definitely my voice of reason.
Yeah. And I remember going to, there's a lot of different parties I remember you dragging me to. And a lot of scary ones. And I used to be the roadie for the music stuff. Carrying around. The Lumina was able to carry the drum set. So that was like, I became the driver of the drum set for one of the bands. But I remember going to some I don't know if it was a house because Warren, Ohio has a lot of interesting houses. And we went to this house place, and the party was in a basement.
Mm-hmm.
And we go into this basement. There is only one entrance, one exit. Everything else is like there's some small windows. I was losing my ever-loving mind because I was taught by people, you watch and this is me being 31 at 15. When you get into a place, you look at the exits, you see where you can get out in case there's trouble, in case there's a fire, in case there's anything.
Where was this? I don't remember this.
I have no idea. I remember you and me going, and I think we packed in some because I was driving, and you guys talked me into going to this party because I never liked going to these parties because they were always just people I didn't know, goofy shit going on, and you ended up usually getting one or many of you would get drunk, and then I'd have to cart you all home. But yeah, it was this basement thing, and I like as soon as I walked in there, I just felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, and I kept going to you, we have to go. Why? We just have to go. We have to leave. I don't want to be here. Yeah. And it took like an hour to finally get you out. There's also, I don't know if you remember this one. Do you remember where my dad lives in Champion?
I remember going there a bunch. Can I tell you something that's funny?
Yeah.
This is so weird. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I can still picture his house in the way it looks in the front yard, the backyard, the street, your grandparents' house, which was like a stone throw over, literally next door.
Yes.
And I remember I have so many vivid memories of that place, so much so that when I am watching or I'm thinking about things, if you watch like a stand-up comedian and they're telling a story about going to their house, for some odd reason, I don't picture my house when they're telling stories. I picture that house. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. I picture the front yard.
And I picture your house most of the time.
Yeah, I picture because I remember the exact like layout of the inside.
Right.
I think because it was so big to me because we were so young, and it's such a big open space. It's a big house, second story. And big side yard, front yard, backyard. So for some reason, I still picture that house when I put myself in a dining room, living room, upstairs bedroom type of situation when I mentally picture it. And I go, that's Josh Bauer's dad's house. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and there's this. So on the way to my dad's house, you go down this one big main road. It's like, and there's a house that's right before the baseball fields.
Okay.
We went to this house. And every time I pass this house, I remember everything of this night because it was terrible. So we went to this house, and there was it was you, me, and I want to say Skylar. I'm pretty sure it's Skylar.
I've heard that kid's name too many times during this podcast. Fuck that dude. I know. Sorry.
That's some of my craziest memories.
I know. I know, but go ahead. I know.
So we went there because one and or both you had girls at the park. And again, I was the only one that had a car to drive at that time. So you talked me into taking you guys out to there. We go out there, and we're hanging out and everything. And I don't know what went wrong. I think Skylar did something wrong and pissed somebody off and pissed one of the people off. Then all of a sudden, the whole party turned against us. The mom and dad came out. The stepdad looked like some dude off a 80s porno with the full stash, thick ass glasses, hat and everything. And like basically were kicking us out, telling us to get the F out. They were going to call the cops, and you guys were arguing with them. I'm trying to drag you back to the car. And like, and what's really funny is because I always remember this thing, and it was just, and really, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what went wrong. It just went from everything's cool to everything's chaotic.
Right.
And the dude was the stepdad guy was trying to be big and buff.
Yeah.
Even at that time, one of us could have taken him. he was nothing. He was trying to be this.
This sucks because I do not remember this. I can't picture it at all. I have a weird memory like that where some of this stuff
But also you drank more than I did. Like all these times I was sober.
Yeah. I mean, It's weird. I have memories where I can remember very specific things, but at the same time, too, I mean, even whether I was drinking or not drinking, but this isn't the only time this happens. There's been times where I've been talking to family at dinners, and they go, yeah, don't you remember this? And I'm like, no, I don't. And it's weird. I don't know why. But, oh, man, I wish. Maybe I'm glad I don't remember this because this does sound like a terrifying night. It sounds scary. Are you getting yelled at? Josh is getting yelled at now. Uh-oh, he's in trouble.
A little bit.
What did you do wrong? Did you not load the dishwasher?
I've told the story enough of the hot tub story with the getting drunker.
Yeah.
My wife kind of heard it across the room and knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, across the house.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so she's heard the story plenty of times and everything. Yeah.
And she's heard plenty of O'Grady stories. I mean, this is like almost all of high school we hung out.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
when did you move to
hanging
Florida?
out with you. What's that?
When did you move to Florida? I forget.
I moved to Florida in 2008, but we actually stopped hanging out in my juniorish year.
Okay.
Because you and I had a bit of a falling out.
Yeah, he took the last Oreo, and I never forgave him. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we had a bit of a falling out, and really, when we first started hanging out, we were kind of alike. We played a lot of video games and everything.
Yeah.
And then as we got older, you got more into music. I was more into video games, but we still hung out. We were still doing everything, but it was more just, doing the music stuff, hanging out with people, causing trouble and stuff like that.
Right.
And then after so long, we really just became very different people and weren't really hanging out much. And you were hanging out with a different crew, and I started hanging out with some people. So, and after I stopped hanging out with you, because you were like, your house was the hangout house. Then, like, right after senior year, my house became the hangout house, and I had my own little crew. So it was kind of weird how it all switched up.
O'Grady seems like the kind of person I'd really get along with potentially chaotic side.
Oh, yeah. Amelia, you two would just, you guys would be perfect.
Well, I'm not so chaotic now. I've grown up and I've matured over time and everything.
Like I told you the last time we talked, you still look like trouble. So I'm sure it's only semi-grown up.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is a lot of people do have like a really weird misconception about me in some regards. Where, for instance, everybody always thinks I'm such a stoner, which I'm not. I don't handle weed well, and but especially when I laugh or I smile or I'm kind of talking, I look like I'm like, like I this just how I whatever. But I'm not so chaotic now anymore. I mean, I think because I got all of that out of my system at such a young age, and
I think you lived like 2 lifetimes during that time.
I do feel like it. Age. It's weird. I actually after my daughter was born, I did start to feel this weird. The analogy I always use is it's like you're in a fast car moving at like 100 miles an hour your whole life, and then all of this, and you're carrying baggage. You're just collecting shit on the way, like this experience, that bad experience, that good experience, and you're carrying it like cargo, and then eventually something happens in your life that changes you. It's cliche, but it's absolutely true, and it just like all of a sudden I went into a screeching halt. And I was like, whoa, like I'm a different, I feel different now. You feel this weird, just a quick example was like, again, like I said, used to go from getting so drunk and blacking out, jumping off of roofs, doing crazy, terrible shit. I have a story about being with Matt Murray up at Kent State University where I got 15 stitches in my chin because I passed out from partying. Oh my God. You don't know about that.
No, and Kent State is a very interesting area to party at.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is it's like I never got bothered by things before, but after my daughter was born, I would get on flights and start to have panic attacks, and everybody says they're like that's normal. At least it's
my mom used to do that.
Yeah, and it's like because now you have something that has changed your life dramatically, and it's made you evaluate and think and everything. But I still like to go and have fun.
Yeah, of course.
But
now,
sort of responsibly.
41 minutes
talking
about past stuff. I knew that was going to happen. I was going to.
Can't we make the show longer? We make the rules.
If you want to.
I don't give a shit. What else am I doing?
All right, we can make this an hour and a half once because I
not that you're at the bottom of the totem pole. that what else is going on, that like, I guess I'll talk to him more because there's nothing better to. No, I'm kidding.
There's nothing better to do. I can't leave the house.
Yeah,
I guess I'll
yeah.
talk
Might
to
as
this
well
asshole
do
some
this.
more.
No. I mean, I'm fine, man. I got no time restraint. I mean, this is,
Okay.
you know.
So yeah, we'll go probably about an hour and a half for my show, and then So I want to get into, because with hanging out with you this whole time, or that whole time and everything, a big thing in our lives and a big thing that we did was music.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of music, and I am not a musician. And at this time too, for people to kind of understand where I was at in life, I didn't have the full art thing. This was actually I didn't get more into the art stuff until high school. And when I hung out with O'Grady, it was before I got really into the art thing and everything.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just tagging along for stuff, especially, when O'Grady got out of the video games, we stopped playing video games. I'd play video games more with your brothers than you.
Yeah, you guys were more video game
them.
players than I was. I was never really good at them. That's the other thing.
Oh, and he was angry at them.
I would get pissed.
I have never seen a dude chuck a PlayStation 2 controller, hit a piano, and have it perfectly wrap around a couple of times and
That's
just
why
hang there.
Yeah, it brings out this dark competitive side of me that I don't like. Plus, I'm not good at it. I don't have that part of my brain. You know what I mean?
So because I think when I met you, you were at least into it a bit. You were playing guitar, you were playing piano, you guys were doing the piano lessons as far as I remember.
Right.
So when did you get into music?
Well, that's a really good question, Josh. And I'm going to answer that question. Well, we grew up with music our whole life, in a nutshell. My mom always played music in the house. So did my dad. And I actually just told this story on the last episode about him taking me to see AC/DC when I was 12. So if anybody wants to check that out, Michael O'Grady and the Creatives, I saw AC/DC when I was 12 years old. But before that, he made us take piano lessons from Sister Mary Shovelface, and I hated it because it wasn't like rock. It was like ding, 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 dong, ding, ding, ding.
Oh, yeah.
Ding, ding, whatever. And then I got into drums, and I liked playing drums a lot, and I had fun with that. But, yeah, when I was 12, he took me to see AC/DC because he got tickets somehow from somebody who I think couldn't go to the show. And growing up until that point, I knew a little bit about, you're a kid, and this was before classic rock, I feel, had a resurgence of being so cool and popular. We grew up in the area of Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all that pop music, riding the school bus, listening to Kiss FM. That's all you knew about. Yeah. But I do remember that and again, I tell this story almost verbatim in my in my previous show. I didn't want to go at first.
Oh my God, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Because as much as we listened to AC/DC, because I knew of them and I had some favorite songs, but you taught me and got me into depth with all the CDs. Yeah. We would just play it and
that
play
was
it and
after seeing the concert. But but my first feeling at first when it came about was thinking, when you're that age, your dad goes hey, you're going to go to this show with me. And I remember thinking, I don't want to do that because you listen to old-time dad music, and it's not cool. I remember feeling that way. I remember asking my mom, I don't want to go. And there wasn't that much fight on my part because I am a very stubborn kind of person, especially when I was younger. If I didn't want to do something, I would throw a tantrum. I know, you know.
So shocked.
I know. I'm very, very stubborn that way. But for some reason, I was like, okay, fine. And he bought 2 CDs, which was High Voltage and Stiff Upper Lip. And all of a sudden, that got me. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I like listening to this. And when we went to the show, I remember it just being the first big event thing that I ever went to. And I remember them coming out on stage, and I stood on my feet for the entire 2 hours, and my ears were ringing. It was loud. I knew all those songs because my dad always listened to the radio, and he would listen to classic rock stations. So it hooked me in really. I was like, I want to be Angus Young. I want to play guitar. And then the other big thing about it, too, was you probably remember this when I was growing up, and you haven't seen me in a while, but I got a little bit taller. But when I was younger, I was really short. I was really small. And I would get picked on for it a lot and everything because everybody was bigger. I was the youngest in my class. I hung out with older people all the time. And it kind of gave me this inferiority complex and almost like a Napoleon thing. But my dad was made it a point to be like, you know, that guy up there on stage is like only like 5'2". And that, seeing the show, hearing something like that made my brain switch. And it made me get over a lot of things really quickly and go, well, I can do that. I don't need to be that, because I have an older brother and I have all these big people who are dominant at sports and stuff like that who are better at you. And I go, well, maybe I can be the best at this because I really liked it. And you didn't need to be a physically big guy to be able to be good about it. And you can be larger than life on stage. And after that, and another great thing, because I got hooked into it. I wanted to play guitar. That's all I wanted to fucking do. I wanted to be Angus Young. I wanted to be Slash. That cracks me up because I remember my dad, he would call me Slash and I didn't get it. And I remember my mom going, don't call him that. Any mother who names their son Slash has serious issues. Like, she thought that was his real name. Why would a mother do that to a child? Slash? Anyway. And
I
then
miss your mom.
When the first time I broke a guitar string, she flipped out. She flipped the fuck out. She was like, oh my God, do you know how much money we spent on that guitar? How could you break it? And she didn't know that guitar strings broke. Neither did I. And then I think a couple of years later, when here's a good story.
Okay.
I was 14, probably just about to turn 15. I can't remember. I know I was about to be a freshman in high school. And it was during that summer. And for my birthday, and you and I were hanging out a lot, my dad got 3 or 4 tickets to see Kiss and Aerosmith at the end of August. Oh my God. You remember going to that? That was
so amazing.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I missed a football game because of that concert, and my dad,
you were in the band.
My dad and my band director got into it. They had a fight blowout. Here's what's weird. This is this weird Irish luck that happens is he gets the tickets in June for my birthday. Didn't Mike Hicks go with us? Or was it just you and me?
No, it was you, me, and Mike Hicks, maybe?
No, you know what? I think Mike Hicks went.
There was a third kid.
I don't remember. I know Mike Hicks and I saw Motley Crue at one point, and that was with somebody else, but I don't remember. Anyway, he'll remind me. He's got good memory like that. We get the tickets in June. July, the band schedule comes out. I'm a drummer in the marching band. I was playing cymbals. The band schedule comes out. The football schedule comes out. Football games, as a lot of people probably know, are on Friday fucking nights. They're on Friday nights. The first game, for some odd reason, was on a Thursday, like August 22nd or something. And on August 22nd was the day of the Kiss and Aerosmith show. Right smack dab on that day. And I remember panicking and freaking out, going, and because they said, listen, you can miss a football game every now and again, like one a year, and it doesn't matter. But the band director was like, the first game is mandatory. You cannot miss the first game. And that freaked me out. And I went to my dad and I was like, I don't think we can go to the show. My band director said, you know, we have to go to this, we have to do the football game. And he goes, I'll talk to her. We go to the school. I remember sitting outside of like the office, like chill areas or whatever in the hallway. And I hear the muffled talking of Charlie Brown going, and it got louder and louder and louder. And then the door swings open and Mrs. Moore comes waddling out going, I have never dealt with such an indecent human being who doesn't show any respect and da-da-da. And my dad's just cool as a cucumber because, you know, he's a cop, but he kind of knows how to push buttons. And he's just like, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how you think and feel. And I remember him going, it was either him or me. And she goes, well, if he doesn't show up to this game, he is getting dropped 2 letter grades. And he goes, well, I guess we're not going to the football game. We're going to the concert. And we fucking did. We go to the concert. And if you were to look at my report card for music classes from 4th grade, apologize, 4th grade all the way to senior year, it's like A's and then 1 C and then A's again.
Oh.
I did that for you, Kiss and Aerosmith.
Kayla still complains about that music teacher. Like every so often, if we're talking about high school, because we all went to the same high school and everything, she still complains about that music teacher.
Yeah, dude, I went back home one time, sometime in my late 20s, and I went to go see a movie with my brothers, and she was there right in front of us getting tickets. She turned around. I kid you not. She turned around like this, looked at me, went, and then turned back the other way. Didn't say a damn word. But looked at me for 2 seconds. I was like, oh God,
I've heard she's very pleasant. Big shout out to Thomas Rochester. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for popping in. He loves your hair, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I love it too. I hope I get to keep it. And I haven't had a haircut in a while because of this, but thank God with long hair.
I like how we've gotten older. You've gotten more hair, and I've gotten way less hair. So back to you doing music. So when I started hanging out with you, you had the drums. I think you were pretty into guitar. I do have to tell you, if I meet anybody that's young and plays like guitar now, like we've run into some people here and there through living in Florida and everything. The standard is you for young musicians.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you.
Because like you always impress me because I've never figured out the guitar stuff. I'd play around with your drum set and try to learn a little bit.
Right.
And then like, I think your mom and my mom got together when I was hanging out with you a lot. And I think even when I was living with you for that short period of time.
Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. I was like, I finally got a brother.
Awesome the first couple weeks, and then it went not so awesome. Never live with your best friend.
Yeah, as it goes, it gets tough.
But
close quarters.
I think our moms talked, and they were going to try to have me take lessons with the piano teacher because I kept talking about it was so cool that you guys were learning music, and I wanted to learn music too to kind of keep up with you. That was kind of my thing. And my mom was like, well, I could try to see. And I knew my mom couldn't afford it at that time. And I'm just like, no, it's good. I'll just hang around. And, we kind of just messed around. But when I came in and started hanging out with you, you didn't have a band. And then you came out with your first band, as far as I know. Do you remember the first band's name?
Double Cherry Bar? Was it that?
No, that is not the first band. That was the first like real big official band.
What was the first band?
But your first band was Mike, and it was just like AC/DC.
Mike Jones, yes.
Yeah. And then here, so we'll do 2 pictures. Here's the first one. So there's your logo there.
Oh my God, you have that photo. That's me and that's
that
you.
That is O'Grady right there.
I thought that was.
This was my 16th birthday.
You have to send that. You have to take a picture or send that to me so I can post it.
I'll scan all these. And
I
send them to
can't
you. I found
believe
a few more
you.
Of us too. We don't have a ton together, to be honest with you.
That's so cool.
This was this was my 16th birthday because I was living with you when I turned 16.
Oh, it was then? See what I mean, folks? He has a way better fucking memory than me. Mine is trash.
I don't know how I have this all down, but yeah, because
mine is trash.
my mom had the divorce, I think it was, or the breakup. I can't remember that one.
Wait a minute. You lived down the street.
I lived down the street.
And then she had to move. You came and bunked with me for like a month or 2 while she was getting situated, and then you ended up in Howland. Is that what it is, the timeline?
I think I lived down by you for a while. Then we moved out of there, and I think we moved in with her husband at the time.
Right. That's what it was. And then you came, and then she got her own place.
Yeah, when that fell out, I wanted to stay in Howland, and I really couldn't go and live with my grandpa, because she went and stayed with her dad for a while.
While she's getting situated
in Stellington.
Yeah.
So we talked, and I came and lived with you for at least a month or so.
Yeah.
I think it might have been longer.
Yeah.
And then she bought the house like right around Christmas time because I lived with you like Halloweenish time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Halloweenish
what?
Because we went to your parent or your grandparents for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. My grandma Cindy, where we go every year for Thanksgiving, and you eat dinner at 1:00 because that's what time you eat Thanksgiving dinner is 1:00. And I gotta say this too, real quick, before I lose track, and in case your mom hears this or see this, quick shout out to her to say hi. And if I never made a point of it, I should make a point of it now. When I think about those times, hanging out with you, and this goes out to your grandparents, your dad, and everybody, your brothers, and everybody in the family, probably. Everybody in your circle of your family is a very kind, wholehearted, nurturing, caring, welcoming human being. Somebody who was always like, come over, hang out, eat dinner with us. And it felt like a secondary home kind of a type of thing. And so when I think about those memories, I think about the awesome hospitality that both your parents and your extended family always had. So that's how it.
Oh, and it was the same with you. I mean,
that's
honestly,
how I always think of it.
Honestly, at that time, we were basically brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, we were.
And like brothers, we would fight, and then you have a thing where you're like, "Fuck that guy! I'm not talking to him for a year." Like.
Next night, I'm at your damn house.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And it was. I really cherish a lot of those years, and I love your family. I loved hanging out with all of them. Your brother was always super cool to me. I mean, I remember we would go out, and your brother. Again, your whole family like rolled like at all night, all day. Like I don't know when they actually slept.
It was like the McAllister house from Home Alone.
Yeah.
There's just revolving doors of.
But your brother would roll in, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go get something to eat?" It's like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, sure. Yeah. We'll go to Walmart, grab some McDonald's.
That's what we would do. Yeah.
You know, and then like going back to the experiencing a cop family life. The weirdest thing that I've ever experienced is when the cops started knowing me. That's how I knew like I was part of the family. Because the most one I remember, I think there's two. There's one, you weren't even with us. I don't know where you were because I would hang out with your mom or your brothers without you even being around.
Yeah.
So I would go, and I was with your mom and your brothers, and we were in your mom's old truck, and we had to go to the police station where your mom, because your mom worked in the police station, or your mom worked in an office.
She's upstairs. She's technically considered a bailiff. Not like the bailiff you think about on TV where they go, bailiff, take him away. But somebody who consults with defendants and stuff like that and goes like, here's your rights, here's your case, da-da-da. And she works like secondhand to the judge. So yeah, upstairs.
Yeah. So she would randomly have to go get stuff from there, like books or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like later in the night. It was dark time, but we're going, and we ride out there, and we stuff the twins in the back.
Yeah.
And we're in the truck, and we're going. We're outside the police station, and we're standing there talking for a second, and one of the officers rolls up. And he's like, "Hey, Louise, how are you? Hi, guys." Says hi, both boys. And he goes, "Hey, Josh, how's it going?" I'm like,
he knew you. Yeah.
I'm like, and he rolls away. And I looked at your mom. I'm like, how's he know me? She goes, "You're part of the family, dude. Everybody knows you."
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's how it went. It was it's kind of a good thing too, because then you could, you knew you had a little bit of, in case you're not like this, but if you ever ran in trouble with the law, you had a good out.
Well, and that was even like when we would go and hang out, because we would hang out so late, and especially when I got the car, we would drive up to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're starving.
Yeah.
And we would drive up to Speedway, Sheets, whatever gas station we were in the mood to hit up.
That's all there is to do in Ohio.
Or Perkins. That's where my crew went when I started hanging out with my own crew at my house.
Yeah.
It was Perkins every night.
Yeah. And that's what we did too. We did the same thing. It was like that's all you had was an option, and also at the time too, a place to go and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes, because they let you do that there. Nobody checked IDs.
Ohio, our area in Ohio had a curfew.
It did?
And it was like midnight, 1 o'clock was technically, I think it was Howland at least. I didn't know
that.
Well, and it wasn't, so here's what it was, and I kind of figured it out. It was held it was held in like if you got caught breaking curfew, it was for kids doing stupid shit.
Sure.
So if you would go and do something stupid, they go, oh well, you did this and this and this, and you broke curfew, so go the hell home, or
Right.
you're in trouble or whatever. And most of the time when we were out and about, we were actually behaved. We would go in the
we weren't
sheets.
too bad. No.
We would grab our food, make our drinks, do whatever we needed to do, and get the hell out.
Yeah.
But I remember running into some Warren cops, and you would be talking to them, and they'd be, and I always was just quiet and stuff, and they go, hey Grady, what's up? How's how's your mom? How's your dad?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, hey Josh. I'm like, what the shit? Why do all these cops know my name?
You're guilty by association. But I'll tell you one thing, man. That's the one thing I miss about being at home, because out here it's nice that it's so big and people don't care as much about little things like that like they do in a small town. But then again, you have like no pull. And to be honest with you, I did get I've had some incidences with the law out here. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's happened, and it gave me a reality check of like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be able to get away with this because whatever. Because there was times when I shit. Do you have time for another quick story?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you
man.
want to hear about the cops and stuff? With can you give me 1 second? I need to get a refill of water. Take me 2 seconds, and I'll go into this because you don't know anything about this, and it's pretty funny.
Oh God.